Bonjour French 1. This video is going to help you complete your notes page all about the French words for lunch and dinner foods and drinks. As always, the masculine words have been tabbed over to the left-hand side of your page. Feminine words are tabbed over to the middle and right-hand side of your page. Keep in mind that you only have to write down the words and phrases that are on the lines, kind of with the yellowish background. You are not required to write in the words that are in parentheses with the greenish background. Those are just the pronunciation for people that want to write it down. The first thing I want to point out is the actual order of a French meal. As you're looking down the left-hand side of your page, some of the words are underlined. Those are giving you the actual courses in order for a French meal. So I'm going to skip ahead for a moment, so don't get thrown off here as I change and I scroll through the slides here. The first part of a French meal is the entrée, which is actually not what we call an entrée. An entrée in the English language means your main dish. Entrée in French is the entrance to the meal, which is your appetizer. They do start with an appetizer just like we do, and it's followed by le plat principal, which is the main dish. If you keep looking down your page where the words are underlined, you'll see that the next phrase is, well, you have the side dishes there, but the next underlined course after your main dish is the salade. French people do actually eat their salads after the main dish. They believe that the typically vinaigrette dressings and things like that on salads aid in digestion. So after you've had your big, heavy main dish, you have your lighter salad with your vinaigrette dressing to help digest and help your stomach digest the food that you just ate. So it goes appetizer, main dish, salad. Sometimes there'll be a fromage or a cheese area or plate to the meal, and then finally dessert. So it's a little bit different order of things, and I kind of wanted to let you know that ahead of time. These are listed under the appropriate categories in the order of a traditional meal. Now again, on your average Wednesday night, a French person's not going to go home and have a 5-course meal. This is when people are doing it upright, and it's really more just to show you how the order of the meal is slightly different than it is in the United States. So let's go ahead and go back now to the entrée, to the appetizers, including bread, which in French is le pain. By the way, I hope you're not forgetting to repeat after me and the pauses provided. Snails, which we learned earlier in the year, and it's a common appetizer in France, is les escargots. And soup is la soupe. By the way, if you've ever seen a soup du jour, that is a soup of the day, as in they make a different soup every day and it changes, and they don't have just a standard list of soups that they always have. So now let's get to the main dish section, the plat principal. For main dishes, these are just some of them to get you started. A croque-monsieur is a very special sandwich. I know it says ham and cheese, but it is so much more than ham and cheese. It's kind of like a grilled ham and cheese, but they put a really nice creamy bechamel sauce over the top. It's delicious. It doesn't translate to the words ham and cheese sandwich. It's got its own special title. It's called a croque-monsieur. So one more time, the way you pronounce this special ham and cheese sandwich in French is a croque-monsieur. The funny thing is if you remember from earlier in the year, monsieur means mister. There's another play off of this sandwich called a croque madame that is a lot like the St. Paul sandwiches that you can get at the Chinese food restaurants around here, where they do the ham and the cheese and then they put a fried egg on top. But the croque monsieur is just the hot ham and cheese sandwich on its own. Alrighty, I digress. Let's get into the rest of these main dishes. We have fish, which is le poisson. Pork, which is le porc. Chicken, which is le poulet. Cheese sandwich, which is le sandwich au fromage. Notice how the order is reversed there. It's a sandwich of cheese instead of a cheese sandwich. You know how the French people do things backwards from us. Ham sandwich is le sandwich au jambon. Salami sandwich is le sandwich au saucisson. And a steak is le steak. Quick little side note, you'll want to add it out to the side. I couldn't fit it on your paper. Things that would refer to steak, when you do order something like steak, a lot of times they'll ask you how you'd like it cooked. If you like it rare, which means it's not cooked that much at all, it's still red in the middle, you like it saignant. If you like things cooked medium, that means it's just kind of a little strip of red still left in the middle, is à point. And if you don't want to see any red in your steak at all, you want it well done, which in French is bien cuit. Moving on to a few more of these. These are the feminine, because it's tabbed over to the right-hand side, main dishes, including l'omelette, which is, of course, an omelet, which is actually considered to be a lunch or dinner food in France. Eggs are not considered to be a breakfast food there. I know we originally learned them on our breakfast list, and that's because for an American, eggs are typically a breakfast food. For French people, eggs are typically cooked into dishes like quiche, which we're going to talk about in a moment, or omelets, and they're served as a lunch or a dinner food. So it's kind of a different way of thinking about eggs. So quiche, which by the way in French is la quiche. Yeah, I know, fat lot of good that does since it's the same word. If you've never heard of quiche before, by the way, it's pronounced quiche and not quiche. Quiche is, it's going to sound horrible, but basically an egg pie. They take a pie crust, not a sweet one, but a plain one, kind of like what you would do for a pot pie if you've ever had one of those. And they basically beat some eggs, and you can fill it with cheese or meat or vegetables, depending on how you like. It's kind of, you'd probably do the same thing you would do with an omelet. And after you get done beating the eggs, you pour it into your pie crust, and you bake the whole thing up in the oven, and it kind of fluffs up as it bakes. So it's kind of like an omelet in a pie crust. If you like scrambled eggs and you like omelets, you'd probably like quiche. If eggs aren't really your thing, quiche is probably not your thing as well. But cool thing about quiche is you can customize it just like omelets, and you can make different kinds of quiche. My kids at home really like when we make a bacon, cheese, and spinach quiche. Well, the one kid likes spinach. The other kid, we have to pick it out. But you can put bacon and cheese in your eggs and then pour it into a pie crust, and you'd be having a fancy schmancy quiche dish then. So that's what quiche is. If you've never heard of it, you can actually get it in the frozen food section. They have frozen versions of it at most grocery stores, even here in St. Louis. But it's a lot more fun if you make it from scratch. Again, I digress. In case you can't tell, I really like talking about food. The French word for pasta is les pâtes. And pizza is a cognate, it's la pizza. For side dishes, just a couple little things to get the ball rolling on some side dishes, including the word for vegetables in general. Obviously, they have specific words for green beans and potatoes and all other things, but we want to keep your list as short as possible. So the general word for vegetables is les légumes, and the word for rice is le riz. So then don't forget, the next course would be la salade, which is of course salad, possibly a cheese course, le fromage, where they'll serve a couple different kinds of cheeses with crackers for you to eat. And then usually everybody's favorite, le dessert, which is of course dessert. 3 different desserts that we have here are all feminine, including la tarte aux fruits, which is a fruit tart, otherwise known as a fruit pie. It looks a lot like a pie. It's got more of a cookie-like crust though, and it's filled with fruit. Sometimes it has a cream filling underneath the fruit too, it just depends. Ice cream, we learned earlier in the year, is la glace. And chocolate mousse, which is basically a lighter, airier, fluffier version of chocolate pudding, is la mousse au chocolat. Last few things we need to cover are some words for drinks that can often be had at lunch or dinner, including coffee, which is le café, soda, which is le coca. They have flavored waters, and probably the 2 most popular flavored waters or traditional flavored waters are, one of them is a mint flavored water. It's flavored, when you hear syrup, don't think about pancake syrup. Think about like snow cone syrups that could flavor water, or those Mio things that they had for a while where you could drop a couple of different little flavors of water into your water. Mint water is the traditional one that's served in France, and it's pronounced le sirop de menthe. Water in general is just l'eau, but oftentimes you'll hear it referred to as l'eau minérale if it's like spring or mineral water. Be aware as well that in France, typically water is served carbonated, as in it's got fizzies in it like our soda does, even if it's plain old water. You'll have to specifically ask for tap water if you need regular water instead of carbonated water in most European countries. The second thing that I mentioned earlier when I was referring to those flavored waters, the other one that's very popular is water that's flavored with pomegranate flavored syrup, and that's referred to as la grenadine. And then lemon soda, kind of along the lines of our 7-Up or Sprite, is la limonade. be careful, a lot of Americans order limonade thinking they're getting lemonade, and then they get that carbonated beverage and they're a little bit surprised. So make sure you're breaking that link in your brain right now. Limonade is not lemonade. A few other extra words that I wanted to make sure you know. Lunch is the word le déjeuner. We covered that earlier in the year when we talked about our school classes. Dinner is le dîner. And the word for a meal in general is le repas.